Manpower development is the bedrock of any competitive national growth. Education plays a vital role in all of this. Lifelong goals are shaped from the exposure to various stages of education. The fact of the matter has made every average family seek educational opportunities for their children and wards. While the individual progress manifests, national priority tasks the government at all levels to harness from our human resources. These children who turn to adults as they grow in the society become the feeder stock for national development in all fields, from the primary to tertiary education. The Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended imposes the responsibility of building the national local manpower to face the challenges of nation building on the Nigerian government. This is reinforced by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, which has set the international benchmark of every country's budget to be 15% to 20% of its annual budgetary allocation to fund the education sector. While it can be said that education budget witnessed a rise as the year went by, it actually dwindled with about 3% when critically assessed. It would further reduce in value when placed side by side the conspiracy of the exchange rate. For instance, the budget document for education in 2011 shows 393.8 billion naira or 9.3%. The figure increases to 9.86% in 2012, grows to 10.1% in 2013, increases to 10.7% in 2015, noted to be the highest monetary investment in relation to the fiscal budget in the last 11 years. By 2016, the education budget dropped to 7.6%. The 2022 amount being implemented amidst the ASUU industrial action records 1.29 trillion naira, an increase in volume, but is low with the conspiracy of the naira to dollar exchange rate, and it represents 7.9% of the 2022 fiscal year on education.
In other climb, the University of Abuja and other universities will be providing services to the ministry to be consultant to their projects. If they have issues, they go to the university. But in this country, they will never go near you. Because when a university does the job for you, they cannot make returns. You know what I mean? They won't bribe. Yeah. So they avoid the university. They avoid the universities. You want to look for how to pay salary, you run abroad. When the University of Abuja can develop that for you quickly, within 3 months, free of charge. So that is it. The government does not patronize the university where all the egghead, all the professors are. They don't patronize them. They prefer to go abroad and bring one messenger to come out. They say we have a white, we have a foreign partner. So that is the problem. So Abuja is not different from any other university. They are not treated separately. They are not consulted by the University of Abuja authority. That is the problem we are having. What they are calling want to collect money from the universities. That is why we are on strike. There has to be a paradigm shift in how we run the system. University of Abuja to be allowed to run on its own. Not that University of Abuja want to build a toilet. They must go to Bureau of Public Procurement. They must go to Office Accountant General because you want to build a toilet. When the university have all the paraphernalia of consultancy, they need to build their toilet or to build a lecture theater. But in this country, if investors want to build anything, you have to go and get permission from the Bureau of Public Procurement. Is that correct? Where is that done in the world? And the process, the money you have used for that is squandered away for these people. So that's the problem we're having today. We say, let's have our own autonomy. In the 60s, 70s, when universities ran on their own, everything was moving fine. We didn't have the problem we're having today where the university is big guard. A vice chancellor wants to employ a staff, a professor he has seen somewhere that is very good. He has to get permission from a head of service. Is that done anywhere in the world? So that's a crisis.
In Nigeria, the 6th largest oil-producing country and world-populous black nation, many would have expected huge investments in education, especially as the issue of national manpower development has a constitutional backing. Schedule 2 of the Constitution, which deals with the direct principles of state policy, tasks the state with the responsibility of building national manpower to tackle all challenges that would confront her national development.
Corruption is the biggest problem in Nigeria, but for we is a commitment to education that is one of the major problems we have in the system. We check all over the world. Go to Ghana. Their budgetary allocation to education is above 16%. Go to South Africa. Go to all the countries in Africa. above 16%, but Nigeria is 5.4%. So initially, there is no, that urge to fund education is not there. Before you're talking about corruption, even on this 5.4%. So the major thing is that we have never had, in recent time, leadership that believe that education is the key to solving the Nigerian problem. And that's why, for little things they want to do, they run abroad to go and get so-called partners. When all over the place, you have people who can do those work 10 times better than those you are bringing in. But because this corruption, to make more money from those trips, from those relationships, they prefer to go and bring people from outside. That is the problem. You couldn't imagine, nobody could imagine 20, 30 years ago, that Nigeria will go to a stage in its own life cycle where you go and you want to pay salary of your workers, you go abroad and bought a system to come and tell you how to pay your salary. Nobody would have believed that 20, 30 years ago. That's how we have reduced this country to. That to pay, just to pay salary to your workers, you have to go and buy a solution outside, that you pay so much money to a hard currency to tell you how to pay your salary. Nobody is happy with the education system. And that's why these so-called people who have access to our Nigerian fund take their children outside the country. If they are happy with this system, they will not take their children away. So that will make Nigeria happy. And our plan is, one, federal government should devote high percentage of its budget to education. Two, we should ensure that university runs the autonomy that we have, that we ensure that the finances is managed by the university council and the university system, not the academic office that is laden with corruption, that the thing is run within the system. So that when you know the 10 billion as a budget for a university, it gets to the university. So that the money is consumed somewhere, as you have seen recently from the Accountant General and the allegation against Accountant General. So when we're saying that our idea is that if government increase budgetary allocation, add 200 billion naira every year to revamp the already decayed system, the system will move smoothly, give this welfare, the salary scale to Nigeria that is competitive in the world, that can attract lecturers from all over the world and attract students from all over the world, just as Nigerians are going outside. But then you have this system, and you have a mixture of lecturers from all over the world, as you have in a normal university, the system will run fluently. And I don't think it's too much. If it's a country that Nigeria can give 4 trillion naira as subsidy to petroleum, to fuel, that we can refine in our country. We have the crew we can refine. But every year you see you are giving 4 trillion naira to some people. When we can refine the fuel here, giving 200 billion naira to education, I think it's a very pittance. What we have done as a union is that in that autonomy bill, there's a section that says the president of the country, the visitor to university, should every 5 years send a high-power visitation panel to university, made up of lawyers, accountants to the university, to audit how the university has performed in 5 years. If there are corruption, that VC should be held responsible and jailed. That council should be dissolved and the council people held responsible. That's what we agree with government, to check this corruption, they say internal. But we have to go on strike. It took 11 years before this government agreed to send a visitation to the university. 11 years instead of 5. Two, they came to university last year, in March last year. That report is not out. So the fault is with the visitor. If the visitor is doing what the law says, set panel every 5 years, which is, that 5 years is the duration of exam, you probe them. Let me use the quote, you probe them. If there are issues, you deal with the people involved. But the government will not do the simple thing that is there in the law until we have to go on strike. In some of our universities where we have exposed this, our chairmen have been sacked. In my branch, my chairman was sacked for 2 years. When we exposed people who were not properly appointed, when we exposed people who were cheating, who were chopping, but the chairman was sacked. And we have to go to court to bring it back. So those are the things we are also passing through as a union. So we appeal to the government that, as you have in the law, every 5 years, send a visitation panel to university, ensure that the report is published. Let the Nigerians see where there are fraud in Nigeria. Let it be published in dailies. Nigeria will know where there are fraud and deal with those who are involved in those frauds.
National President of Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, Professor Emmanuel Soduke, will describe education in Nigeria as:
we are having problems with the academic staff structure in the system. Academic staff you have in Nigerian universities. By NUC ratio, and it's on university in the world, the ratio of academic staff to student is 1 to 3, 1 to 5. By NUC regulation, you should, for every one lecturer, you should have between 9 and 15 students. That's what the rule says. But today, for every one lecturer, you have, it's on university, 50 students, 30 students, which means there's a shortage in lecturers. I know why you have the shortage. is that many of our lecturers in other country, but no lecturer is leaving other country to Nigeria. So we are currently understaffed, and you don't know how where you are going to recruit from. But for you to be a lecturer in the Nigerian universities, a graduate assistant, the entry point, you must have a second-class upper degree. And that is the crisis today, that we cannot even recruit because we can't get lecturers from outside. So that's our problem. In the good old days, when you go to the bank with a first class, you want to be or second-class upper, they will send you away. You won't pass the interview because they say you know you are going to run back to academics. They will not take you. But today, these best brains are going to areas where they are properly placed rather than going to the university. That's our crisis.
There's this argument that Nigerian universities do not rank among the first 50 universities in the world. Is this true?
Correct. No, it does not rank among the first 500 in the world.
Oh, wow.
It is true because we are not properly funded. You know why? One of the indices for assessing university ranking is staff mixture and student mixture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That when you enter a university, how many foreign students are in your country university? Okay. How many foreign lecturers you have in your? That's one of the first indices for ranking a university. We fail in that because we don't have any. We don't. Our laboratories, what are the status of laboratories? What are the status of infrastructure? What is the ratio of lecturer to student? These are some of the things they use in ranking. What? Because you need research to publish high class journal. What is the funding for research? There's zero. A lecturer doing a good work using personal salary. That's why we are not ranked, and that's what we are fighting for. That if this thing well running is well funded, lecturer will come from abroad, student will come from abroad, will have fun to do paper research, and then the system will rank.
84 TV's findings show that the various investments of the national budget in the last 11 years, the figures are revealing. A cumulative of over 5 trillion naira investment has been poured into the Nigerian education system to cater for lecturers, laboratories, infrastructure, and research purposes. These budgetary allocations are targeted at tertiary institutions across the Federation. Although Nigeria has 49 federal universities presently following the National Assembly approval of 6 more federal universities, the funds were to cater for the existing 43 universities. 29 federal polytechnics and 27 federal colleges of education also included in this federal government investment are the 104 unity schools in Nigeria. This investment in the educational sector exclusive of the IGL generated by these institutions to support their fundings. Explaining the importance of this investment, National President of ASUU, Professor Osodeke, had this to say.
Some of the universities, I won't vouch for VC, maybe, and councils, some of these might be managed. But let me give you an example. When you take the University of Ibadan, the running cost that federal government sent to University of Ibadan every month is less than 10 million. The running cost. That is overhead cost for UI in a year, in a month, is less than 10, 20 million. Electricity bill in UI alone in a month is up to 100 million. Electricity bill alone is up to 100 million, but what they get from federal government is less than 20 million. Electricity, water, what do you call it, computer, data, and what have you. So, this university, they actually use this money collected from students for the overhead cost of the university. If what the federal government sent to UI in a month, in a year, is maybe 200 million for overhead costs, and electricity alone is taking 1.2 billion. That's where the money comes from. 2, you have to maintain the hostels. You have to maintain the classroom. You have to buy running material. There are travel costs every week, every month. National Assembly is calling the previous to come up meeting. The ministry are calling them. All these come from this fund, and those funds actually are tied to issues. For example, a student pays some money. You say it's for recharge for the identity card. It's you to produce identity card for the children. They pay some money for health, which is the charge for health. When they are sick, that's what they use in the health clinic. They pay money for all sorts of things. They are tied to issues. So what about the university is not taking money from those monies that have been paid to use to run the system because federal government is not funding. You can check the budgetary allocation to the university. No university gets running costs up to more than 20 million naira in the month. And now no university will spend less than 50 to 100 million naira in a month to run the universities. So that's where the money is coming from.
For a nation that has made such significant investment in the educational sector, one would expect to notice the impact on the quality outputs in terms of students, lecturers, and the infrastructure.
We now have what we refer to as need assessment report, which the government set up. And the report is very clear on the status of our universities. We're in the university, we're using stove as a bouncing burner. In some universities, students are sitting on bare floor in a classroom that cannot take more than 100, and you have 1,000 students hanging on windows. Laboratories are not just there. Those that are there, no equipment. That's why the quality of our graduates we are turning out is horrible. And that's why we are on this struggle. Let's have graduates that you can compare to anyone in the world. And what is the side effect? I can assure you, my dear, that in the 70s, 80s, and early 60s, no building was collapsing in Nigeria. But today, there is no day a building does not collapse because of the poor degree of people we are turning out. And those who come out, because they have godfathers, they get good job that regulates these people. And if you don't have the proper training, how do you regulate? And today you are seeing building collapsing. Even the 21-story building collapsing in Nigeria. That is the tragedy of what we are doing to ourselves. What we want is Nigerian people to join the struggle. My predecessors, those who were before him, we have been preaching this, we have been struggling, we have done all that we could do using political means, using persuasion, using strike. It is time for the Nigerian people, the parents who cannot afford to send their children abroad, to join the struggle. It is time for the students to turn around to see how they can join the struggle. We were having the report that in Edo State, the governor and the VC sponsor students to go and demonstrate that they should sack all the lecturers. They should ban ASUU. I see that is the solution. That is how far our students have gone. That you can now be used to ensure that your lecturer must come and teach you. Let's assume you are able to force these people to come and teach, which will not happen. Would they give you good teaching? Would they give you those students who say your student must come, whether they like it or not? In that university, they have not been paid for more than 8 months. No salary. Even when they were teaching, their contribution to their cooperative is being seized by government. Their union dues is being seized by government. And you say you want to use students to come and force them to come back to teach. Just assume, and don't know it will not happen, the lecturer come back. How do you think those students who have been so reduced themselves to nothing, what will they teach you? Our infrastructure are horrible. When you also check Nigerian university, all the buildings you are having are the product of ASUU. TED fund. The state and federal government have completely stopped the funding of this for project and capital development. So these projects, these our structures are all in very bad state. And I think Nigerian students should take up this struggle because it is about their future. It's about the future of my children. It's about their children. It's about your future and the future of your children. So we should not allow these political people that send their family abroad to get good knowledge kill our system here.